I saw someone say like, oh, 2023 is the year of divorces, but I don't feel like it's just been 2023. I feel like this has been like an ongoing trend for the past couple of years. I don't know. Could there be an element of Jeannie looking at black men as a fetish? Possibly. It happens. Men usually aren't the ones to file for divorce. Jeezy, or just for a man in general to file for divorce, something bad had to have happened, right? If anything, I think most people recognize that this was a blindside. The fact that, she finally found somebody that made her feel safe enough to have a child with, for that same person to then leave her and leave her to become a single parent. But if she recovers from this and like tries to date again, I commend her, because I just would not. My heart would not be able to take it. Hey everyone, it's Bree. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back in another video. And what is going on with all of these divorces? Like, I just feel like, I saw someone say like, oh, 2023 is the year of divorces, but I don't feel like it's just been 2023. I feel like this has been like an ongoing trend for the past couple of years. And listen, I want to make a bunch of disclaimers before I start this video, before I start getting some of the same comments that I see people constantly saying. Number one, I want to make it very clear that I have not and will not ever idolize couples, celebrities, or any human being on this planet. Okay, I don't idolize anybody. Okay, so I want to make it very, very clear before I get to this video, before I start getting comments of people saying, oh, that's why you shouldn't idolize these people's relationships. I don't. I do not. I know that there are people out there who do look up to couples. They want what other people have. I'm not one of those people. I'm just someone that likes to root for people. I like to root for couples, celebrity or not. I think it's very odd when people don't view celebrities as people, and I do. And so whenever I see the ending of a relationship, again, I don't care how famous they are, how much money they have, I'm always going to be saddened for them. In the event, of course, that there was no type of abuse going on, of course. If it's just, simply that the relationship ended or that a divorce is happening, I'm always going to feel empathy for that. And I don't think that me just simply saying that, oh, I'm sad to see this couple break up, means that I'm idolizing somebody. So I want to make that very clear. Also, secondly, I recognize that I don't know these people same way y'all don't know these people. And so regardless of whatever your commentary is or your opinions are of these relationships, it's all speculation. No matter which side you're on in discussing these relationships ending, it's all speculation. None of us know these people. None of us have talked to these people directly. And so, because I've seen people say like, oh, like, why would you expect them to last? You don't know them. I can say the same thing to you. Why did you expect them to not last? You don't know them either. And so I think, and it's crazy because people think because I talk about these things on my channel, or because I might make a YouTube short covering the topic, that I'm like super invested and I care so deeply about these topics and about these people. And honestly, I just like to talk about things. I just, I hate when people act as if they're above gossip or they're above talking about, other celebrities' lives. I don't think it's something that's meant to be taken super seriously. And it's not something that I take super seriously. Like, as soon as I end this video, I'm not going to be sitting here thinking about how Jeannie and Jeezy got divorced, how Tiana Taylor and Ewan are separated. When I heard about it, of course, I was saddened about it. But it's not something that I'm like super duper passionate about. But I have thoughts the same way anybody has thoughts. And so I don't think that sharing your thoughts on what's going on and what's being put out there in the public, I don't see anything wrong with that, and I don't know why people feel the need to go on people's platforms that cover news to tell them, oh, we need to mind our business. Why are we even sharing our opinions? If you don't want to partake in sharing your opinions, that's fine. But I don't understand people who willingly go under, blog pages, even though I don't consider myself to be a blog. I've never claimed to be a reputable news source. But even going under a channel that talks about news to tell me not to talk about news or to mind my own business. Like, this is literally what I do. I talk about different topics, and the whole point of my channel is to take trending topics and broaden it to a more deeper talking point. That's what I do. That's what I enjoy doing. It's social commentary. I commentate. And when things like this pop up, I'm like, oh, okay, I can talk about, this particular topic. Because even with this video, the goal of this video is not to get into all the details of Jeannie and Jeezy's divorce or Tiana Taylor and Iman's separation. It's to talk about the bigger topic at play, which is that a lot of divorces are happening, not just with celebrities, but even among normal people. Like, the divorce rates currently are really high, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about how I've been seeing how people have been talking about marriage on social media in a very negative light. Those are the kind of topics I like to cover on my channel, and I like to tie that in with trending topics. If you don't like that, then you don't have to follow my channel. You don't have to comment telling me that you're not interested or that you don't care. Just move on and find another channel that does cover topics and does make content on things that you're interested in. So I just want to make that clear before I start getting people saying like, oh, like, why are you talking about these people? Who cares? I want to, granted, I still will probably get those comments, but I just wanted to put that little disclaimer out before I actually get into what the topic is at hand. So now that I've gotten that out the way, I want to get into the recent news with Jeannie and Jeezy. So Jeezy filed for divorce from Jeannie Mai, and we all know who these people are at this point. Jeezy is a really famous rapper. Jeannie, I feel like, is mostly known for her being a talk show host on The Real, which was a show that I watched religiously. Even to this day, I will go back and watch old episodes of The Real whenever I get bored. I really did enjoy watching the show a lot, and so I feel like, not to say I'm biased, but because I'm a fan of the show and I'm a fan of everyone that was, on that show, literally all the way from when Tamar was on it, all the way to the end when Garcelle was on it. I really enjoyed that show, and I really feel like I got to know each host. We all got to know each host a lot through, some of the topics that they covered on the show. And speaking of The Real, in the midst of this whole news, people have brought up the viral clip that is going around. Honestly, this clip has been circling for a minute, not just with this situation, but even when they first got engaged, or when it was even first rumored that they were dating, this clip was going around, which basically was a clip of Jeannie saying that she likes to keep her dark meat on the side and her white meat keeps her lean and mean, or whatever she said, right? And a lot of people took offense to this. A lot of black women took offense to this because, and Tamar kind of hinted at this as well when it literally was said on the show, which it gave off the impression that, Jeannie will date white men and she will pursue long-term relationships with white men. Like, basically, white men is who she goes to for like her main relationship, but then she likes to mess with black men on the side, or she looks at black men as kind of just like, something that she doesn't take too serious. A lot of people were taking it as black men were her fetish, and it's not something that she really wants, but it's something that she's like fascinated with. I don't know, people were making all kinds of leaps and jumping through hoops with this situation. And here's the thing, right? I understand where people are coming from and why people took it the wrong way, because it sounded awful. Like, literally when she said it sounded pretty bad, and I understand why people reacted the way they did. I understand why some of the other hosts reacted the way that they did, because it just sounded bad. Also, people don't want to acknowledge the follow-up episode where she addressed this whole clip situation, and she literally said that, and she could have just been, trying to clean up what she said, and like I recognize that, but she did follow up with saying that, she made that comment about white meat because her husband at the time was white, and she felt like she couldn't say that dark meat was her preference because her husband isn't black. And so she had to say that, they're on the side because her husband at that time wasn't black. And honestly, I low-key believe her. Like, I'm gonna get so much hate for this. I don't care. I don't know. Could there be an element of Jeannie looking at black men as a fetish? Possibly. It happens. No one ever really admits to it, but you can kind of peep when, like that's the case. And it does happen, and it is a problematic, mindset to have when you look at a certain group of people as a fetish. The same way they do any other culture. I mean, even, with Jeannie being an Asian woman, there are men out there who look at Asian women as a fetish. I mean, we see it a lot. Even, when you look at some like streamers, like there are some streamers that even play off of that in their content because they know that there are men out there that are, looking for certain types of content in that way. It is off-putting. It's off-putting. It's creepy. It's weird to have attraction to someone just solely based off of the fact that they're, again, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, and not because of who they are at their core. And so I do see where people are coming from with that. But again, this is all speculation. I don't know this lady the same way y'all don't know this lady. But I just want to believe in my heart of hearts that it wasn't solely a fetish thing. But who knows? But either way, so Jeezy filed for divorce. Now, this sparked a lot of conversations, right? Because men usually aren't the ones to file for divorce. Men in general are not usually the ones to end relationships in general. A lot of times men will literally be in relationships with women that they don't want to be with. But a lot of men for some reason have a hard time ending relationships with people. And so they'll just literally sit there and suffer. Or they'll start to mistreat a woman, or they'll start cheating on them. They literally will do everything but in the relationship in hopes that the woman will do it. And I think it's just so cowardly when men do that, because it's just like, if you don't want to be with them, just say that or just end it. Like, it's the fact that like you're going out of your way to make this person not want to be with you, almost making them hate you to the point of ending things with you, as opposed to just ending things peacefully with that person. And so a lot of men are not known for ending relationships or ending marriages, but Jeezy did. And so of course this sparked up red flags in people, because people are like, okay, for Jeezy or just for a man in general to file for divorce, something bad had to have happened, right? But I also don't think that that's necessarily true. In some cases, yes, I do think that if a man is, because again, it doesn't happen often. So if a man is like, no, I'm gonna go to the courthouse and file, yes, there is a chance that the woman did something terrible. Jeannie could have done something to Jeezy, right? We don't know. She's not perfect. And again, I'm speaking from a place of like, what she has shown us through the reel, through her YouTube channel and stuff like that. But I mean, people do crazy stuff that throws me off guard all the time. I mean, look at all the stuff with Lizzo. Like, people were not expecting those allegations that came out about Lizzo, because Lizzo is so, about body positivity. To hear that she could have potentially been body shaming someone, that shocked me. But I also said that I don't put it past her that maybe she is so insecure about her body that she is projecting that onto her dancers. Like, I think people forget that you can have multiple viewpoints and multiple things can be true at the same time. Like, you can have this positive view of somebody, but also still recognize that you can't put anything past anybody, and that anybody is capable of anything, and that you can't just solely go based off of what they show you. But again, if for me, if I'm going to make an assumption about somebody, I like to go with the positive approach, right? So I like to assume that Jeannie had genuine love for Jeezy and that he wasn't just a fetish for her. I don't know either way. but I would like to assume that she is not in that way. But I can also still recognize that there is still a possibility that she could be, the opposite of what she shows. Same thing with Lizzo. Like I recognize that, what these celebrities put out there isn't always real, and a lot of times is fake. And things, but it's, I don't know, like I feel like sometimes people just want to argue just to argue, but again, it's like I don't think there's anything wrong with being shocked, at something happening. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're being naive or you're just believing everything that you see. It's just, well, what else am I supposed to believe other than what I'm being shown? Now, if other information comes out that shows otherwise, then of course I'm going to believe the evidence that's being provided, because a lot of people don't do that either. There are a lot of people who have their opinions, and then stuff comes out about that situation and people would just choose to ignore it and just stick to their opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with being proven wrong, and that does happen a lot. And so for me, right, it's like, okay, I want to believe that Jeannie had genuine love for him, and I want to believe that he had genuine love for her. But if something comes out that proves otherwise, I'm going to roll with the evidence, and I don't have a problem with adjusting my opinion based on what comes out. But we don't have any direct information. Like if Jeezy came out right now and said that Jeannie was horrible to be with, she treated me terribly, she yelled at me every single day, she overly controlling, and she just was very difficult to be with, and I just couldn't do it anymore, then okay. Then I have to accept that for what it is, because it's coming from the primary source. And then I have to say, okay, then Jeannie is the problem then. Jeannie is the problem then, and maybe Jeannie just needs to do some more soul searching and do some more healing, and just stay to herself for a while. Because why is she with somebody that she claims to love so much, but then she's treating them horribly or doing them dirty behind the scenes, right? Or if it comes out that Jeannie cheated on him or whatever, whatever it is, like, again, as we get more information, I think we'll have a better understanding of what happened. But at the end of the day, I'm just not going to assume the worst about a person. However, people have also brought up that Jeezy has not had the best past in previous relationships. And, it's interesting, right? Because, there's this narrative going around that women don't take accountability. But I've seen more and more in recent years and in certain situations, especially with the Tory Lanez situation, that it literally doesn't matter what a man does nowadays. Other men will not hold them accountable at all for anything wrong that they do. They try to find some reason to blame the woman for a man doing things. And a lot of men are acting as if it's impossible for Jeezy to have blindsided, because this was a blindside. I feel like, if anything, I think most people recognize that this was a blindside, because there's no way, with the way that Jeannie was talking about him in public, and recently putting out videos. She put out that video where her and their daughter Monaco was praising him for his new book, and they were like praying, and like there was no indication from Jeannie that she knew that this was coming, just based off of how she's been. Like, if Jeannie knew that divorce was coming, or that they were on the way to divorce, there's just certain things that she's put out recently that I don't think she would have put out that video of her praising his new book if she knew. You know what I'm saying? I think if anything, she would have just kept her content focused on her, still keeping everything positive, but I don't think she would have put out a bunch of content surrounding Jeezy and supporting him if she knew. And so I think most people have concluded that Jeannie was blindsided in this moment. But it's like, again, where is this coming from? And again, you have people that are saying that, oh, well, if Jeezy did this, like, clearly Jeannie had to have done something. And then also, two people are pulling up an old clip of her saying that, she has like a bad temper, and people are saying like, oh, look, this is the reason why they got divorced, because Jeannie has a bad temper. And it's like, how do you know that? Like, and again, it's cool to speculate. We're all speculating, right? But to say that, oh no, this is the for sure, like, I've seen people say this. I literally have seen people in the comments saying that no, Jeezy filed for divorce because she has a bad temper. Look it up. What am I looking up? The only thing that's out there, again, is an old clip of her talking about how she had anger issues and that she was working on it and that she had to get it in check because Jeezy was checking her on it. That is not a for sure clear sign of why they're getting divorced. Like, people are just weird. And so yeah, anyway, so you have people that are saying that. You also have people saying that, Jeezy has several baby mamas and that he is known for either not being faithful and not really fighting for his relationships. Apparently he was previously engaged and he called that off. And so he doesn't have a good track record in previous relationships. And what's crazy is that, people are also trying to bring up the, Jeannie's last relationship, saying that, like, oh, she can't keep a man. Clearly she's the problem. And I'm like, did y'all forget that Jeannie's ex-husband cheated on her? Granted, I don't think that was the reason for their divorce, because again, I watched The Real religiously. I believe what happened, right, is that her and her ex-husband got divorced. It was mostly because of the family thing. Like, he really wanted kids. She was kind of iffy about it, didn't really want to have kids until she, healed some of her childhood trauma. And even then, she wasn't sure that she wanted kids. But it was something that they couldn't quite work out. And so they ended up, filing for divorce. But then in the midst of them filing for divorce, because it actually started out amicable. Like, if you were someone that actually watched The Real, you can see the shift where it started out being amicable and she had nothing but good things to say about him. But then over time, when it came out that, he had already moved on and this person was a couple months pregnant, people started doing the math and they're like, wait a minute, based off of how many months pregnant this new person is, that means you would have had to have gotten her pregnant while you and Jeannie were still together before y'all even filed. And so I don't know why people are now looking at her ex-husband like, like he's the victim here. Like, people were saying like, oh, like, I know her ex-husband is laughing. I know her ex-husband, feels good about himself. And I'm like, he literally cheated on her. Like, what are we talking about? But anyway, and I think that's like the biggest thing too that had me feeling for Jeannie, right? Is the fact that, she talked about how, again, she was iffy about having children. The children thing is why her and her ex didn't work out. And then she said that, in this new relationship with Jeezy, and also after doing all of the self-work on herself, she finally got to a place where she felt ready to become a mother, and she was finally in a relationship where she felt safe. And that was the first thing I thought of, when she got pregnant. I'm like, oh, she just didn't want, or I think a part of it, like deep down, was that she didn't feel safe or she didn't feel comfortable having a baby with her ex-husband because she somehow knew that he just was not the one for her. And so for her to be in this new relationship where she feels more secure and more in love and more safe with this person to have a child with, the fact that she got to that point, had her child, and now they're getting a divorce? I that was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, the fact that, she finally found somebody that made her feel safe enough to have a child with, for that same person to then leave her and leave her to become a single parent, that is just, like, I would be crushed if I was Jeannie. So yeah, I don't know, like, my heart just goes out to her. Yes, I understand that she made some offhanded comments in the past about the whole, dark meat thing, but I don't know, like, I just have a hard time, like, rejoicing and being happy about this. And I say this all the time. I said this with the Keke Palmer situation. Like, just the way that people are, like, rejoicing in seeing families break up is just very, very odd to me. Even if you don't care for that person or you don't like that particular person, that's fine. But I don't know. It's just seeing people happy about the ending of relationships is just odd to me. I mean, I even experienced a little bit of that, and it was kind of off-putting to see people like happy about my heartbreak. It just was like odd, and it makes you feel alone. It makes you feel like people don't really care, and you start to realize too, like, how fake people are, because I'm like, y'all were literally, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people were rooting for them and were happy for them. And so to now see not only people happy about them divorcing, but also seeing people like make racial jokes about Jeannie as well. I don't know. It's just odd. Like I said, you don't have to like the girl. You don't have to be in support of them necessarily, but to go online and to spread hate and to spread racist comments towards her, it's just, I don't know. It's a little off-putting in my opinion, but it is what it is. But Yeah, all in all, I just feel really bad for Jeannie. I feel bad for them both. Again, I don't know what happened. I don't know what occurred. If Jeezy felt the need to, file for divorce. Yeah, I'm sure it was for a valid reason. I would hope that it's for a valid reason. It's just sad to see how quickly things crumbled. And, now looking back too, because, they just came back from Vietnam. Again, we're thinking like, oh, this means that they're like, really connected and stronger than ever. But now when you look back, you're like, oh, that was probably like their last resort to trying to save their marriage. So I'm wondering if they've been having issues for a while, maybe. And maybe Jeannie was like, taking him on these trips to try and bring them closer together. And I also wasn't aware that they were living two separate lives. Those reports coming out that he was living in Atlanta and she was living in LA. And so, yeah, I could see how, with that separation and just, again, there's other stuff that's coming up too. Like, sure, if you want to throw the temper thing in there, fine. Maybe that he was dealing with her having a bad temper. There's stuff coming out about, him feeling suffocated in the relationship. But it's like, I don't know. It's just giving that maybe they just weren't a match. Cause I'm not gonna lie. When it first came out that they were dating, I was like, really? Them? Like, they just didn't seem like they, like fit together. You know what I mean? And I'm not even necessarily saying, because of their culture, because I do believe in interracial relationships and I believe that they can work for some. But with them, they just seemed so different. And again, opposites attract sometimes, like I'm not saying that it's impossible for that dynamic to work, but it did seem kind of odd at first. And it was like, okay, this is interesting. I never ever thought I would see someone like Jeezy with someone like Jeannie and that working, but sure. Again, I wasn't hating on it. I just was like, okay, this is kind of like an odd pairing. And so, yeah, maybe they just were not a match like they thought they were. And I did feel like they moved really fast, but I also thought that was because they're like a little bit older and, maybe they have the life experience and maybe they're at a point in their lives where they really know what they want and, they didn't feel the need to prolong dating and they just wanted to kind of speed things along. And so I don't know. But all in all, I still just did not see this coming at all. But also, I don't know much about Jeezy's background and history. And so a lot of that has been brought back up. So again, I don't think that you can really place blame on either party. All you can do is speculate. You know what I mean? And so I think for me, right, like I know a little bit more about Jeannie just through, again, watching her on The Real and some of her YouTube content. And so I just don't feel like she's a bad person and I don't feel like she deserves to be blindsided with a divorce. But I don't know, because again, even if it was the whole temper thing or her being controlling or whatever people are saying, you still deserve a heads up. You still deserve a heads up. There still should be some type of discussion around, getting a divorce. And so it's just really sad to see. And, and I think I told somebody this the other day. I'm like, if I were Jeannie, bro, I'd be done. I would be done. I'm low-key done now. And I haven't even been married to or engaged. But it's like when you get your heart broken in a certain kind of way and in the worst way possible, you just get to a point where you just want peace and happiness for yourself. And you just don't even want to be bothered with trying again and potentially getting hurt. Now, some people I feel like might be stronger than others. And there's some people out there who I guess don't mind getting their heart broken multiple times or going through multiple marriages. But in my personal opinion, I just feel like if you were someone that is like, oh, I don't mind, getting my heart broken multiple times if it means I can find the right one. I feel like people who say that didn't get their heart broken for real. And I'm also not saying too that if you're someone that did get your heart broken really badly, that, if you do find potential for love again, that you shouldn't try again, or that people who do try again, that that they didn't experience true heartbreak. I'm not saying that, but I don't know, it's just, yeah, I'm like, if I were Jeannie, like, for again, because this was a lot for Jeannie, having a child and deciding to have a child, like that was like a big decision for her. And so the fact that she finally found somebody that was able to change her mind on that, and then for them to just leave her. Again, if it was me, I'm like, you know what? I'm tapped out. Maybe marriage ain't for me, and I'ma just stay to myself. Like, I would not want to try again after this. Like, you literally got divorced from someone that you were with for 10 years because you didn't want to have children with them. Then you decide to marry someone else, have a child with them, just to get divorced to them too. And it's just like, I mean, I don't know. If Jeannie does, you know, I'm sure she will recover from this. But if she recovers from this and like tries to date again, I commend her, because I just would not. My heart would not be able to take it. Like I said, even now, even currently, I'm really debating if I want to like try dating again, because again, when you get your heart like shattered into a million pieces, you're just like, man, I'm good off this. But yeah, I'm wishing the best to both of them. Hopefully they can have an amicable divorce. I know that they did sign a prenup, and so hopefully everything goes smoothly with that and they're still able to co-parent. And I am curious to see if Jeannie will, you know, speak about this on her YouTube channel, because you know, I feel like all of them, like Jeannie, Adrian, and Tamara, they all have like their own personal YouTube channels. But I know with Adrian and Jeannie, their channels are very, very personal. I know Adrian talked about her like infertility journey, and you know how she had ever on her YouTube channel. And I know Jeannie talks about a lot of deep personal stuff, like even like trauma that she had with her mother and stuff like that. She talks about all that stuff on her YouTube channel. So I can imagine that when she's ready, which I don't know when that'll be, maybe after they've settled the divorce, which again hopefully should not be long, because they do have a prenup, and I can't imagine Jeannie wanting to drag this on. And so, yeah, I'm curious if she is going to cover this and maybe give us some more insight, or at the very least kind of talk through how all this has affected her on her platforms. And so, yeah, honestly, I was going to talk about Jeannie and Teyana Taylor in the same video, but this is going on like 30 minutes now. So I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up, and then I'm going to talk about Teyana Taylor and Iman in a separate video. But yeah, again, wishing the best to both of them, and you know, hopefully they can work everything out and be able to peacefully co-parent their one child together. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How did you feel when you heard the news? Were you surprised? Were you shocked? Again, just speculating here. You know, what do you think caused this breakup to happen? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.